Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhurvaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome everyone to our ongoing study of Nectar of Devotion at the level of Bhakti Sastri. And today is this is the 5th meeting we are having, but we're on lesson number 6 because we covered 2 lessons yesterday. I hope it wasn't too quick for you. Right? You're a pretty sharp bunch. Not difficult for you. Today's lesson 6. Independent nature of pure devotional service. You know, do people ever describe you like that? You have a very independent nature. To be independent, sometimes as devotees it's not very good, but Bhakti itself is independent in the sense that it doesn't require anything. There's no prerequisite in order to take up Bhakti Yoga. Oh, in order to be a devotee you have to be like this, you have to be renounced. In order to be a devotee you have to be from this family, you have to be this, you have to be like this, you have to be this age, you have to look like that. No, it's totally independent. It doesn't matter who you are, or where you're from, or what color you are, what size you are, what shape you are. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you're attracted to Krishna. Then you have an attraction to Krishna. That's the important qualification to begin devotional service. There should be some attraction. And how do we get that attraction? Well, we said yesterday, do you remember? Before the causeless mercy, attraction comes from doing service. By doing devotional service. Remember the circle? On one side it was attraction for Krishna, and the other side of the circle was doing devotional service. So by doing devotional service we get attraction for Krishna. And by being attracted to Krishna, we do devotional service. So what comes first? How to break in, how to get started? That was the question, huh? Yeah, we need the causeless mercy. And that causeless mercy comes from some kind soul, some great devotee. So the causeless mercy gives us a chance to take up devotional service. Okay. Let's see. Defined and explained the process of sadhana bhakti. We said sadhana bhakti is practice, right? Practice using our senses and mind. For what? What do we use our senses and mind for? Huh? For the service of the Lord. Look, where are you going? What's your purpose? Huh?
Satisfying
satisfy the Lord. Well, the point is we're doing sadhana bhakti, we're doing practices, and the goal is that we will come to bhava bhakti. So by doing these practices, we should come to bhava. We should develop spontaneous attraction for the Lord. That's the idea of the sadhana bhakti, or the idea of following the rules and regulations, that it will bring us to the higher level. The higher level is bhava. When we have bhava, sometimes Prabhupada would criticize it, because you have no bhava, you're doing this. And they offered, one temple, they offered the flowers were not fresh for the deity. The flowers were not fresh, and Prabhupada was very upset, said, because you have no bhava, you're doing this. So we want to come to that level of bhava. And sadhana bhakti is the means of coming to that level of bhava. And the process of sadhana bhakti is using our mind and senses in the service of Krishna, so that it will bring us to the platform of bhava. Alright, so that's the idea. And we spoke about pushing. Then distinction between Vaidhi and Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti is following the rules and regulations, right? Getting woke up and get up, go to Arti, change your rounds, right? So Vaidhi bhakti. And then Raganuga bhakti is spontaneous. We want to do it. We get up and we're enthusiastic, and we collect flowers, and we bring flowers to decorate the altar and decorate the deities. We often see the devotees go around here in the morning collecting flowers for their pictures of their gurus and different things, and put flowers around the pictures. You do that for your altar? You have an altar? You have photos with you? Pictures? Huh? Are you putting flowers around them? No. Not yet, huh? Okay. Anyway, there's a lot of flowers growing here. Bengal, it's not difficult to get flowers. If you have to live in a city like Tokyo or Japan, one flower is so expensive. You cannot imagine. So expensive just to get one flower. I remember when I became a devotee, we used to do Guru Puja. We would break the flower into petals, and everyone got one petal to offer to Prabhupada. Because England, in the winter time, there's not many flowers. They're a little expensive. And if you pick the flowers, the policeman will take you, and you get arrested, you get fined, you get trouble, But here, flowers are growing everywhere, and not a problem. So it's very nice. It's so fortunate. Sometimes you can appreciate these things living here, but you go to these cold countries and materialistic countries, and it's so difficult just to collect some flowers. Very difficult. Okay, so Raganuga, spontaneous, have raga, have attraction. And then qualification for beginning the practice of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti in relationship to Prabhupada's mood and mission. Qualification for beginning is simply that you have an attraction. You're not too much attached and not too much detached. And you're willing to hear. You're not going to argue too much. You're not going to speculate too much. So being a little submissive, these things help. Okay? A verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. If somehow or other, by good fortune, one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person, being neither very disgusted with nor attached to material life, should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion to me. So we discussed this verse quite a bit yesterday, about not being too much attached, too much detached, and the importance of having faith in hearing. So this is all good fortune, which brings you to Krishna consciousness. Another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Sri Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. So this is Narada Muni is describing about how he got a Veena from the Lord, and he was able to wander. Sutta Goswami is describing to the Naimisharanya sages, because they wanted to know how did Srila Vyasadeva come to write Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Vyasadeva described what happened to him and how Narada Muni came, and then described also about Narada Muni and how Narada Muni, what happened to him. You know, he previously had been the son of a maidservant woman, then he became the son of Lord Brahma. So Narada Muni had come to instruct Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva was his disciple, and then describes how Narada Muni left, free to wander everywhere, because Narada Muni is brahmachari. He's detached, he doesn't have the family, he doesn't have the home, he just wanders everywhere. So Prabhupada's purport is very nice, explaining a little bit. Every living being is anxious for full freedom, because that is his transcendental nature. And this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. We can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. So talking about Narada Muni. Narada Muni can go everywhere. He can go into the spiritual world. He can go everywhere. You know, we're very limited. Where's your passport? Have you got visa? Did you get injections yet? Did you get vaccine? Did you take the vaccine yet? You know, they may not let you come. You have to test for if you've got that virus or not. So many things. Narada Muni, he doesn't have to worry about these things. He can go everywhere. Heavenly planets, hellish planets. He can go into the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, everywhere. So there is no reason or obligation for his traveling, and no one can stop him from his free movement. Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person, even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of the devotee is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it, even after thousands of endeavors. Therefore, in all spheres of devotional service, freedom is the main pivot. We have freedom. How do you want to serve Krishna? What do you want to do for Krishna? Do you want to serve Krishna or not? We have freedom, right? We are tatastha. We're the marginal energy. We can choose to serve Krishna or not. So freedom. If somehow or other one gets association of pure devotees of the Lord and hears from them transcendental message of Lord Krishna, then one has a chance to become a devotee of the Lord. this is devotional service, right? We said Subhada, the beginning of all auspiciousness, and one of the characteristics of auspiciousness is compassion for others. So we go everywhere and we speak to them about Krishna, and we even give out books, but they may not take advantage. We meet many people and we speak to them. Maybe, did you preach to your friends? Yeah, did you teach? After you read the Bhagavad Gita, did you speak to your friends about it? No. One time. What did they think?
I tell them to chant.
You told them to chant?
But they are like, it's not serious about it.
Yeah, right. But you gave them the chance. You gave them the chance to become a devotee. Maybe later on they'll think more about it. Maybe after some time they'll think, oh, I remember she was talking to me, I should chant. We don't know. In the future. Okay. So, Momo, read.
The person who has developed faith concerning the Lord by impressions arising from previous association with devotees, who is not too attached to material objects and who is not too detached, is qualified for Bhaja Bhakti.
So generally they say devotional service is continued from previous lifetimes. That somehow, people in their previous life, they had contact with devotees, and that's why they come to Krishna consciousness. So, mentioned there, serving the Lord by impressions arising from previous. The impressions are there, somehow in our consciousness, maybe from the previous lives, and we have these impressions which are there in our subtle body. Maybe nothing from this life. It can be from previous lives. We have some impressions. We had contact with devotees, and that brought us to Krishna consciousness. These impressions, and they make it not easier for us to be interested in Krishna consciousness. But even if there are no impressions, even if somebody never had any contact with devotees, they can still take up devotional service. They just have to be attracted and have an interest and want to do it. That is the main thing. Even they never did. So Prabhupada makes the point, devotees are on many different levels. We may all be new devotees. We may be all new devotees. We've all been in the movement 6 months. But it doesn't mean everybody's on the same level. Some people were devotees, they had some contact from previous lives. You see, they had the impressions, or we may say some scars, some things which are there from the past, and that brings them to Krishna consciousness. You see? So, impressions arising from previous association with devotees, who is not too attached to material and not too detached. Then he's qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti. Means qualified to follow the rules and regulations. What are the elements of eligibility for beginning devotional service? Right? We say you have to follow 4 principles, chant 16 rounds. Yeah, that's the external. That should be there. Follow the 4 principles. But one is the mercy of a devotee, resulting in taste for bhakti. You have to get the mercy. That we were saying agyata sukriti. You get the mercy from some devotee. And that gives you, it results, you've got some taste, some attraction for Krishna consciousness. So that's one thing which brings people into Krishna consciousness. And then another thing, not overly attached. And then not overly detached. Overly attached. People get very attached sometimes. There was one time in the temple, you know, some temples, they have the program, they put all the men in front and the ladies stand at the back. Like, I think it's the Los Angeles temple, so like that. And you know, there were many men and sannyasis and things in Prabhupada's time. And Prabhupada saw that most of the ladies, they had children and things, you know. So Prabhupada said, let the men be in the front and all you ladies, you go to the back. And there was even a balcony. And they said, ladies can go on the balcony, you can take your children there as well, and then, you know, and you can see everything from the balcony. But they let the men be in the front and the ladies at the back. But there was one temple president's wife, the wife of the temple president, she didn't like it. Oh, no, I don't want to go to the back. She's very attached to being in the front, you know. So you can't be too attached to these kind of things, external things. So they told her, okay, you be in the front. And so she was the only lady in the front, and all the other ladies went to the back. And so then after some time she thought, well, I don't want to be here on my own. I don't want to be the only lady in the front. So then she also went to the back. Because the temple's not so wide, you know, so it's too difficult to have men and women all beside each other. So let the men in the front and the ladies at the back. Because the temple was narrow. When the temple's much wider, then it's not a problem. Like in Mayapur, you know, you have a big, quite wide temple there, temple room. So it's okay, not a problem. But some temples, you know, you have to consider the size of the temple room and so on. Not that we're against the women, you know. We like ladies. But open the door, let the ladies come. And ladies also do so much service. You go to Gaudiya Math, the Gaudiya Math's not like that. And in the times of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, practically there were no ladies. But Prabhupada went to the West and he saw how the life is, how it's very different from India. And women can also come. So ladies also get initiation. Prabhupada didn't think women would want to be devotees, but they did. And they do wonderful service also. And they distribute books and they preach. And we have women temple presidents, and we have even women on the GBC. Right? Understand? Okay. Spiritual advancement is eternal. Right? Whatever advancement we make, we don't lose it. If we've done some service in the past, whatever service we've done in the past, it will still be with us. The attraction to Krishna gained from previous advancement in devotional service remains in one's heart. In a future life, it impels one to seek the association of devotees and take up the practice from where one left off. Thus we can see devotees coming to the Krishna consciousness movement who begin at different levels of advancement. We used to have a Bhakti program at the Bhaktivedanta Manor in England. I don't know if they still have it. They may do, but they we used to have a program, Bhakti program, new devotees, people joining the movement. And the devotee who was in charge of the Bhakti program, I remember he told me, he said, you can tell some people, they've definitely been devotees before they joined the movement. And other people, you can tell, it's their first time. It's the first time they're coming to Krishna consciousness. It's just, some things are just so easy and so natural for people, and for other people it's just so difficult. It's so. And of course we see from the Bhagavad Gita also, I was telling to this lady that you must have been a devotee in your previous life because her parents are devotees. So she's born in a devotee family. So when you take birth in a devotee family, that's a sign that in your previous life you must have had some contact with devotional service. And that's why you take birth. And you must have had some advancement in the yoga process. And that's why you come to Krishna consciousness. But it doesn't mean that Krishna consciousness is only for them. Krishna consciousness for everyone. Prabhupada's granddaughter she was here at one point. Prabhupada's granddaughter, means Prabhupada's son. Prabhupada had 3 sons, so one of his sons, the youngest one, Vrindavan, he married and he had children, and his daughter grew up and she became a devotee. And she came here, she was staying here in Mayapur. She's not here now, unfortunately. There was a flood. There was a flood some years ago and she died in the flood. She died along with one of her children as well. Very tragic. But, she was born in the family of Prabhupada, Well, not directly, but Prabhupada's son. And Prabhupada's son, he's not really a devotee, a little bit interested, but not practicing, not chanting or anything, Somebody else, born in a devotee family, vegetarian, like Prabhupada, whole life, he said, I never even drank tea. So, very special. And in the Prabhupada Lila Amrita, you can read, when Prabhupada was a little child, he was very sick, and the doctor came and said, you have to give him chicken soup. And the mother said, oh, chicken soup? We're vegetarian, no, we cannot give chicken. Doctor said, if you don't give him chicken soup, he'll die. So they, somehow they arranged to get some chicken, and made chicken soup, and they were about to feed it, and they put it just to lips, and Prabhupada vomited. He vomited. So then he said, no, I'm not going to do it. So that was the closest he ever came to taking non-vegetarian. But he said, Prabhupada said, all my friends, they used to do everything, all bad things. But he said, myself, even I never even drank tea. So different levels of advancement. The impetus for Vaidhi Bhakti is scriptural injunction. Right? We have to, the impetus, what's getting us to do these things? We get the impetus, the energy to do something. You have to do it. That comes from the scriptures. You follow the scriptures. It says you have to do this. Therefore, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the depth of one's faith in and knowledge of the scriptures determines one's eligibility to advance and places him in one of 3 classes of candidates. one of three classes of candidates. There are different we're saying there are different levels of devotees. So here it's mentioned three classes, three levels of devotees. And it's according to their faith and knowledge of faith in the process and knowledge of the scriptures. Have you done this before? Have you heard this before? About faith and knowledge? Yeah? Where? In this Bhakti Sastri you've done it? No. Okay. Okay, so we want you to understand this carefully. The first level of devotee is called Kanista Adhikari. Kanista Adhikari means junior devotee. Junior devotee, Kanista. Or sometimes we say materialistic devotee. Junior devotee. So, what is the nature of the Kanista devotee? Oh, okay. Before we say, the intermediate devotee, he is called Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama, meaning intermediate devotee. And then the topmost devotee, Uttama Adhikari. Somebody is junior, somebody is intermediate, and somebody is top, on the top. The highest level devotee. So, in terms of faith and knowledge, just like faith, sometimes when you become a devotee, and you may go home or you tell your parents, you say, I want to be a vegetarian. And your parents say, what? No. It's not healthy. You have to eat meat. If you don't eat meat, you don't get enough protein. Anyway, your mother doesn't cook vegetarian. She only cooks meat. You have to eat meat. Right? Something like this, Or you may say to your friends, I think I want to become a vegetarian. I think it's healthy. And your friends say, oh no, don't do it. No, it's not good. No, you won't get proper food. These vegetarian people, they're all sickly. They're all skinny people. They have no flesh. They don't eat enough. They're very healthy, very unhealthy. They easily get sick. You better not be a vegetarian. It's only poor people who can't afford meat are vegetarian. And we think, oh, maybe I should eat meat. If we don't have strong faith, we don't know how to argue with them. Right? If our faith is not very strong, just like you come to Krishna consciousness and you say, I'm going to join the Hare Krishnas. They say, what? Why are you going to go there? Oh, listen, don't go there. They're crazy people. They wake up so early in the morning and all they do is murmur that. And I've seen them even sometimes just dancing in the streets like crazy people. And they say, and they'll take all your money as well. You'll never have any money if you go to them. They'll always be coming to you for money. They'll take all your money away from you. And so, if you don't have faith, you can easily lose your interest in Krishna consciousness. At different times, our faith will be challenged. Just like sometimes, you become a devotee and then something may go wrong. Maybe you get sick, you get very ill or something, you may think Krishna's testing your faith. You think, how I got sick? There was one man, he got initiated, and then a little while after he got initiated, he found out he got cancer. So he said, how is it I got cancer? I got initiation. Why didn't Krishna protect me? After I got initiation, I got cancer. Krishna didn't take care of me. He said, how can I tell my friends about Krishna? They know I've got cancer. They'll wonder what was the point of me becoming the devotee? That my God didn't protect me from the disease. People say like that. Their faith is, not very strong. And sometimes, like when a devotee dies, maybe they get a disease, or they're in an accident and they leave the body. Then people may say, how is it a devotee could leave the body like that? He's a devotee. Didn't Krishna protect him? How come he died like that? People's faith sometimes not very strong. You have to be able to answer these kind of questions. Right? So somebody who is kanista, they hear, oh, meat eating, no, you'll never be healthy, no, you won't grow up strong, you better eat meat, you have to eat meat. And so the kanista thinks, okay, because they're kanista, they're very new devotee, so they have only weak faith. Their faith is very weak, and they're easily defeated by the materialistic people. They don't know how to argue with them. Right? Did you have any experiences like that? When you became a devotee? Did you have any problems like that? Maharaji? Yeah? I don't know, I'm not able to hear so well. What are you saying?
Last year I had chronic tonsillitis.
Tonsillitis. Oh. Yeah, when we get sick, it's a real challenge on our faith. Yeah, you wonder what happened, why didn't Krishna protect me, and like that. Now you're okay. You got your tonsils out? Oh, okay. Krishna arranged, yeah. You could come to mind. Oh, good. Yeah, we get challenges like this. Our faith will definitely be challenged. You have to, if you haven't experienced these challenges yet, just wait. I'm sure that you will get challenges. They will come. And sometimes like young people, they get married. Young people get married, and then when they get married, then they think, oh, why is it like this? I didn't think it was going to be like this, My husband, I thought he was a devotee, and he doesn't chant very well. He doesn't get up in the morning, and he's not chanting good, and I thought he was a devotee. He's an initiated devotee. So these kind of problems come, Our faith can be challenged. We have to be very careful. So we have to cultivate faith. So faith, the kanista devotee, he has weak faith and he doesn't have much knowledge either. Because he's a new devotee. They don't know very much. So they're not able to argue with other people. They cannot defeat them. And other people can change their minds. And they say, yeah, you better leave Krishna consciousness, you better give this up, this is not good, this is not for you. You'll lose all your friends, you'll never have any friends, you'll never have any money. People may tell you like that. if you become a devotee. So you have to be able to deal with these kind of situations. I have to adjust the type on this, you can't read it, but I can't remember myself what it says in these parts. Can you see it? Can you read it? There's something written in there. Weak knowledge cannot offer arguments to oppose opinion. Okay, good. And what's the top one? Weak faith. Weak faith. His opinion is easily swayed. Weak faith. We'll have to change that. And then for the Madhyama person, on the intermediate level, he has stronger faith. I mean, Kanista doesn't mean no faith. He does have some faith, but the faith is weak. That's the point. The faith is weak, and he's not able to defend himself and protect himself from the arguments of other people. Now the Madhyama devotee, he has stronger faith, but still his knowledge is not that good yet. He's a little weak in the knowledge, but he does have strong faith. So even though people come and argue with him, he doesn't worry about it. Okay, yeah. You can't defeat them. It's not very common that he's able to defeat them and change their minds. Can you read what it says in the Madhyam? No?
Strong faith,
Convinced. Strong faith, convinced.
strong faith convinced.
And then the bottom?
Good knowledge, but can't always defeat opposing opinion.
Okay. Good knowledge, but cannot defeat the opposing opinion. So his knowledge is not so strong yet. This is the intermediate devotee, Madhyama. And then on the topmost level, what is it?
Strong faith, convinced and can convince others. Strong knowledge can defeat opposing opinion.
He can defeat. On the topmost level, the Uttama Adhikari, strong faith and complete knowledge. He's able to defeat others. Convince them Krishna consciousness is good, it's the right thing, that everything we're doing in Krishna consciousness is very nice. And we're not suffering from any lack of protein. And we're all quite healthy. So 3 levels of devotees. Kanista, Madhyam, and Uttama. So the intermediate devotee, the Madhyama devotee, this is a good position to be in. Because the Madhyama devotee, he will be able to do preaching work. Sometimes we explain, for example, the Kanista devotee, he's often just in the temple. He only stays in the temple, he just worships the deity, and he doesn't like to go outside and meet people, and he thinks, oh, God is only in the temple, he's only in the deity, and just worship the deity. But the intermediate devotee, then they make distinctions They make distinctions. For example, they see the deity in the temple and they will offer their worship to the deity. And they will associate with devotees. And they will give mercy to the innocent. Innocent people will come and inquire and they will give mercy to them. And then they will also avoid the atheists and the blasphemers. They will just avoid these people who are atheistic and blasphemers. Just keep away from them. They're not going to argue with them. Because if they argue with them, the people will become more offensive. So you have to know how to deal with these different people. Some people you avoid. You just stay away from them. Because they're nasty people. They don't want to hear. They don't want to listen. And they'll just commit offences. And it's not good for us to hear from them, to hear their offences and to hear them blaspheme. It's not good for us. So we have to be very cautious about how we associate and who we give mercy to, who we preach to. You know, we say we preach to everyone, but it's not really true. You have to be careful. You have to be a little intelligent to understand who to preach to, who to associate with, and who to give mercy to. Now somebody is on the topmost level. Of course, he's very full of knowledge and faith. They sometimes are so full of knowledge, they think everybody's a devotee and they don't bother to preach. Right? The Uttama Adhikari, he thinks everyone's already a devotee. Let everybody just do their thing. No need to bother them. No need to preach. So there's different visions. The Kanishta, the Madhyama and the Uttama. We come to Krishna consciousness. We may be Kanishta. Now Kanishta, he can also be a pure devotee. Even though he's weak, and has weak faith, has weak knowledge, he can also be considered a pure devotee. And he can also be a spiritual master. He may be a Kanishta, but he has faith in Krishna. He has faith in Krishna and in the process of Krishna consciousness. He has faith in it. And so he can do bhakti, he can do the process of bhakti. It's not that you have to be an Uttama Adhikari to be the pure devotee. Kanishta can also be the pure devotee. Madhyama also is pure devotee. Just like I told, how many pure devotees are in the movement? As many devotees as there are, they're pure devotees. Devotees following four principles, they're all pure devotees. In our Krishna consciousness movement, our movement is for pure devotees. No sinful activities. We don't do any sinful activity. We may be many kanishtas in our movement. There may be a few madhyam and hardly any uttamas, but still they're all pure devotees. It doesn't matter. And some people think, oh, you have to be uttama to be. No, you don't. You can be kanishta, you can be madhyam. Madhyam is actually for preaching. The preacher should be at the madhyama level. Famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, right? You all know this verse? Right? Taking the spirit, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. Self-realized soul has seen the truth and can impart knowledge unto you. Chapter 4, verse number 34. Right? Very important verse, Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada writes there, one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. And it's the process of approaching the spiritual teacher. Tadvidi pranipatena. Pranipatena means you fall down. You fall down. Just like we come in here, we fall down at the feet of our spiritual master. Tadvidi pranipatena. Then pariprashnena. Pariprashnena means you put questions, right? Inquiring. And then sevaya, rendering service. So that's the qualification of the disciple. And the qualification of the guru is also mentioned. Upadeshanti te jnanam, jnaninas tadvadarshana. That the spiritual master has seen the truth. Not only has he seen the truth, but he can reveal it to others also. You know, sometimes you get the teacher who will say, well, I know the truth, but I just can't put it into words. You know, I know the truth, but I just can't put it into words. So that's not very helpful, is it? You know the truth yourself, but you can't share it with anybody else. But the spiritual master's described here, not only does he know the truth, but he can also reveal it to others also. So that verse is very important in Bhagavad Gita. Qualification of the disciple and of the spiritual teacher. Yes? Huh? What? How can a... What's the question? Did you get it all?
If the Kanishta does not preach, how can the spiritual master become a Kanishta?
Well, I'm saying that the spiritual master may be Kanishta. Of course, if he's going to be a spiritual master, he has to do some preaching. He may just stay in the temple. He may just preach to people who come to the temple. So in the temple he would speak. Right? He may be Kanishta. He may just prefer to be in the temple and worship the deity. And people come and talk to him. He may answer their questions. He speaks to them. And some people they just like to see the example. They see that he's a good devotee. He worships the deity every day. He may not preach, but his behavior is preaching. By his actions he's preaching. It's not necessary. Somebody may be sitting and giving classes and lectures, but then after they give class, they may do a lot of nonsense. You don't know. Sometimes the people, they come and they sit and they give class and then they go off and do nothing, watch television or something. But somebody else, they may never give class, but they're worshipping the deity the whole day. The whole day they're just serving the deity. So they're very good devotees, right? So in that way, spiritual master, he may be Kanishta in that sense. He may not be going out to distribute Krishna consciousness. A quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur: O best of kings, if you desire to acquire the extraordinary knowledge by which the supreme goal is realized, then chant the name of Lord Govinda, Krishna, with love and devotion. Chanting, very important. So people who have faith, they will chant. So mentioned here, Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. Faith is confident, firm faith or Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. It's a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's quoted in the Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada in one of his purports, describing faith, that simply by serving Krishna, you're doing everything. That is the highest faith. That because I'm serving Krishna, so I'm taking care of everything. My duty to my family, my duty to my country, my duty to all my dependents, everybody is all taken care of because I'm serving Krishna. Right? You water the root, all the leaves and branches get water. They're all nourished when you water the root. So this is the definition of faith. Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarvakama Kritahaya. That's a famous statement describing faith. Simply by serving Krishna, we're doing everything. All subsidiary activities, everything is taken care of by serving Krishna. Then faith means conviction that the goal of life is to please Krishna and to abandon all other desires. So we have to believe the goal of life is to serve Krishna and forget about everything else. And sometimes people get upset. They don't like it. You forget about me. You forget about your mother and father. You forget about your this and that. What does this? Why like this? It's not good. But this is faith. Because we're serving Krishna, so everything is taken care of. You have to have that. That is perfect faith, the highest faith. Bhagavad Gita says, Sarvamita Ritam Manye Yammam Varisi Keshava. Right? Arjuna said to Krishna, "O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me." This comes at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna was asking Arjuna, "So Arjuna, what are you going to do? Are you going to fight or not?" So Arjuna replied like this, "I totally accept whatever you told me is true." We should also think like that. A prayer by Prahlad. Prabhu, can read?
My dear Lord, I repeatedly pray unto your lotus feet that I may simply be stronger in devotional service. I simply pray that my Krishna consciousness may be more strong and steady, because happiness derived out of Krishna consciousness and devotional service is so powerful that with it one can have all the other perfections of religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, and even the attainment of liberation from material existence.
Yeah, again, so this statement by Prahlad Maharaj, that happiness in Krishna consciousness means you get everything. You're not going to miss anything. Sometimes we think, "Oh, I'm missing out. If I become a devotee, I'm missing out. I won't get all the happiness." No, you get everything. It's all there in Krishna consciousness. And more. You're going to get much more than anybody else if you become Krishna conscious. But you go to material life, it's a struggle, so much struggle for happiness. Everybody's just struggling, trying to get some little bits of happiness. But in Krishna consciousness, every day can be happy. Every day you can be joyful. So, the neophyte devotee, the kanishta, one whose faith not very strong, who is just beginning, should be considered neophyte devotee. Well, some people may have been in the movement a long time. They may still be kanishta. We didn't make a lot of advancement. We don't know. Here it says, someone is just a beginner. And so it means that they didn't make a great effort to try to advance. They're not very serious in their practice of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, they may be a beginner. They may remain a beginner for a long time. Now we have some people, like our congregation, you get congregation who come to the temple, they never chant, they never do any service, they just come, they like to come on Sundays, and they'll sit, and they'll listen, and they'll take prasadam, and then they go. And they never do anything. Somehow they're a little attached to coming to the temple, but they don't do anything. They don't chant. Ask them any round, are you chanting any round? Oh. They smile and, I'm very busy, I have a lot of things to do, They don't chant. Have you read any of the books? I come on Sunday for the Sunday program, I hear the classes, like that. They come, they meet their friends, maybe they come, they have friends at the temple and they come and see each other. And it's a social thing. So they're devotees, but, they didn't make much progress. They didn't try to practice much. Actually, they're not really kanishtas, they're not even kanishtas. Because kanishta are people who have faith and who are really practicing devotional service. So even kanishta devotee is a little advanced than ordinary people. Of course, he's more advanced than ordinary people because they've come to Krishna consciousness and they've taken shelter of Krishna. They have faith in Krishna. Their faith may not be very strong, but still they're devotees. And they have that desire to really be Krishna's devotee. So it is quite an advanced position. We may be thinking, junior, neophyte, but they're a lot better than ordinary people. The ordinary people who don't follow any regulated principles, and they don't chant. At least the kanishta, he's chanting, and he's following principles and like that. Understand? So we shouldn't minimize the position of the kanishta devotee. We should understand, it's quite an advanced position. Yes?
Sometimes we see devotees that are older and they have a lot of faith in Krishna in the devotional process. So then you could say that they could fit in the Madhyamahikari section, but then when you see them and how they act with other people, other devotees, sometimes, it doesn't look really proper. Sometimes they can act even in a nasty way. So is it to be considered that they can be Madhyam but it's just that they have very heavy samskars, so they have a lot of difficulty to deal with other devotees, or if they can, like, they are not really acting in the proper way with other devotees, we should not see them as Madhyamadikari, even though they have a lot of faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have faith, and the behavior sometimes not very good. So, yeah, they need more time. They have to go through more practice of devotional service to come to the higher level of Krishna consciousness. They're short, they're lacking. It's our expectations sometimes of devotees can be very high, what we expect devotees, and how devotees actually live. Sometimes we don't live up to the expectations of everybody. Just like in Prabhupada's time, we were distributing books, and then in the 80s also, I would be very enthusiastic, and people would sometimes be very aggressive in distributing books, and get people to give money, you've got to give them money, and try to take money from people and so on. And it didn't help the movement. It got us a bad name for some time. But gradually over the years we've grown out of that. And nowadays, people sometimes they do go for book distribution, but they'll do it in a very nice way. And often people also give out books freely, without expecting money. There are many parts of the world now where they do books, they just give out the books. So yeah, qualities of different devotees, it will vary, you can't expect everything. Prabhupada was on television one time and they asked him, how would we recognize Hare Krishna devotee? And Prabhupada said, he will be a perfect gentleman. So that was what Prabhupada expected a devotee would be like. That we should be like that. We should be perfect gentlemen. But, that takes some training. And not only training, it takes some purification. To give up these bad habits and the passion, to get out of the passion and the ignorance. That's the real problem. That we haven't really situated ourselves in the mode of goodness. There's still an influence of passion and ignorance there. And it comes up. It can come up, You're in the situation, sometimes devotees can be quite passionate. And even worse. Ignorant also. So, yeah, these things gradually, they have to be changed. It takes time. Prabhupada just wanted to get the movement begun, but there's a lot of things to be done, things to be improved. But still, because they're devotees, even though they have faults, but because they're devotees, there's hope for them. And if they stay in the Krishna consciousness movement, then gradually they will become better. It's just going to take time. It's going to take some time. That's the idea. So, yeah.
The purification is not enough. Then is there a chance that Uttama Bhakta and Kanishta Madhyamadikari will again fall back to the neophyte stage?
Well, of course. Yeah, you see, it's not like they're 100% Madhyam. Some tendencies will be Kanishta, some tendencies may be Uttama. There'll be a mixture, just like the modes of nature. We're a little bit in goodness, but we've got some passion, there's some ignorance. We didn't get rid of all the passion and ignorance. And not, to get somebody 100% in the mode of goodness or 100% in the mode of passion, that's not so easy, It's a mixture of the modes. So the same way there's a mixture of these qualities. In some ways somebody may be Kanishta, and in other ways he may be Madhyam, and other ways sometimes may be Uttama. There's going to be some mixing there. But for preaching, Generally, when you go out to preach, you want to come to the level of the Madhyama devotee. Generally, we want you to understand there are different characteristic traits of these different levels of devotees. And in this particular case, it's depending on two things: faith and knowledge. Knowledge of the scriptures. And faith. How much faith does somebody have? And how much have not... Now somebody may know the scriptures, but they may not have much faith. They may simply be a scholar, and they don't really apply the knowledge very much. So there has to be, as well as knowledge, there has to be faith. Some people have a lot of faith, not much knowledge. You see, so we said that's a bit more like the Madhyam. The Madhyam is a bit more faith, not so much knowledge. Some knowledge, not... Anyway, we put more emphasis on trying to educate devotees and trying to train devotees nicely. Like some parts of the world now, if you want to go out on book distribution, you have to go through a course. You have to take a course, and they will train you what you do on Sankirtan, and how you approach people, and what you say to people, and how to deal with different kinds of people. So training is there. You know, those things were not there. We had, many cases, people joined the movement. The next day, out on Sankirtan, you're selling books. Yeah? You just joined, just came to join. And also even we're very particular about people joining the movement nowadays as well. People want to join the movement, they have to get trained, and we want to know who they are, what's their background, and things like this. In the beginning, anybody could come and anybody could join. But now it's much more, a little bit more careful. Not that we refuse people, but we want to know more about them. Like we want police reports. Like here in Mayapur, somebody wants to join, they have to have a police report. That you have a good character, that you haven't done anything criminal. Because you don't want people coming to join the Krishna consciousness movement if they're going to bring criminal tendencies into the society. Right? Sometimes you get even things like people are homosexual. You get these kind of things. So people think, somebody's a homosexual, I can live with all the other men. That's just what I want. They're happy to live with men. And so we have to be careful. We're a bit more careful now about bringing people into the Krishna consciousness. We want to understand them a bit better, let them come to the temple a lot, get to know them and see more about them and understand their character and their behavior. And gradually, we let them think about becoming devotees. They may want to become full-time devotees. And we may tell them that, it's not very good, you have a dependent family, your family are depending on you, you have to take care of them, it's not really possible for you to become a devotee. So we have to consider every individual's situation. Of course, they can be devotees in different ways. You can live outside and still be a devotee. Not that everybody has to come and live in the ashram to be a devotee. So it will vary. So when we don't usually identify people like this as Kanista, Madhyama, Uttama. Nobody's so foolish to say, I'm Uttama, you're Kanista. That would be really, pride and false ego to think, what do you know? You're just Kanista. It's not a very nice way of speaking. No. But we want you to understand that something of the different levels which are there in the practice of devotional service. And here it's based on faith and knowledge. But There are some other times when it's not just based on faith and knowledge, but it's based on one's actual love and devotion for Krishna, one's actual absorption in Krishna and his devotion to Krishna. And there'll be junior, intermediate, and topmost. When you go on to do Nectar of Instruction, you will see that in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami tells us to deal differently with different devotees. He says one should mentally honor a devotee who chants the holy name. Somebody's chanting the holy name, they just started chanting the holy name, we respect them in the mind. Somebody else is taking initiation and they're worshipping the deity. We will offer our obeisances to them. We'll offer obeisances to them because they're worshipping the deity and they're initiated. And somebody else is fixed in undeviating devotional service and does not criticize anybody. So we will try to associate with that person and serve that person also. So different levels of devotees. That's the idea, to understand there are different levels of devotees, and we should have the desire that we want to improve our own position. We want to make some progress ourselves. What we need to do to become a better devotee. We need to strengthen our faith and have more knowledge. Right? Okay, we'll take a break. Hare Krishna. So one thing I wanted to tell you is, tomorrow I'm not able to give class because I promised people in the Middle East I would give them class. Middle East, the Gulf, they have Fridays. It's their Sunday. They don't work on Fridays. So several months ago, I promised that I would give them a class this Sunday. Before we even began this Nectar of Devotion, I didn't know I was going to be teaching this, so I have to give a class tomorrow. So I won't be able to give class tomorrow. So I was wondering when we could have the other class. Either you can have it on Saturday or Sunday or next Friday. What would be the best thing? Because we're up to lesson 6 and we have 5 more lessons to do. I have 11 lessons in this section. So we have 5 more lessons, so we need 5 days. So what would you prefer? Are you all here on the weekends? Do you want to have a class on a Saturday or Sunday? Sunday's okay? Sunday's not okay. No? What about next Friday? Next Friday will be okay, yeah? Okay, so that's good. So next Friday, because we began on a Friday, so we were supposed to finish it the Thursday, so the next Friday we'll finish. All right. So tomorrow, remember, I'm not going to give class tomorrow. You have a long weekend. You can write your essays, right?
So the last class will be on next Friday. This is the last class.
Yeah. It will be the last class. Yeah, we'll have classes all week, next week. Yes, Prabhu.
You said in the Middle East.
Huh?
You said in the Middle East where you can give a class.
Yeah, I get on virtual, a virtual class.
Yes, of course. But I was just wondering, how is it over there? Krishna consciousness is kind of flourishing? I'm just wondering.
Well, I'm just giving class to all the Hindus there, you know. Huh?
So no class tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday, 2 days.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes, it's Hindu preaching. Sometimes we get a Filipino. Really. Okay, so no class tomorrow. I'll give you a long weekend to write your essays and catch up on everything. Okay, so Kanista should be considered neophyte. Intermediate devotee. He does not know scripture argument very well, but who has firm faith is called an intermediate or second-class devotee. Doesn't know the arguments very well, but he has firm faith. So that's the intermediate devotee, the Madhyama. And then the topmost devotee, one who is expert in logic and in understanding the revealed scriptures, and who always has firm conviction and deep faith that is not blind, is to be considered a topmost devotee in devotional service. So, we see different levels of devotees. We have to be able to distinguish, and then you will know how to properly relate to different devotees. Just like I quoted to you from the Nectar of Instruction. Somebody's chanting the holy name, they're just a new devotee, they don't know anything. We respect them in our minds. Somebody else is worshipping the deity, they're initiated in worshipping the deity, we will offer our obeisances to them. And somebody else is fixed in undeviating devotional service and doesn't criticize anybody. So we want to associate with and serve that person. So Rupa Goswami describes like that there are different levels of devotees, and we should know properly how to associate with them. Now it will be every individual. You could say you can have your own judgment. Just like when you select a spiritual teacher, everyone can select for themselves who they want to be their spiritual teacher. It's not mandatory, it's not, you have to take from him. He's the guru, it's not like that. Everybody has their own judgment, who you want to select for your spiritual teacher. So different people have different visions. Somebody is inspired by this person, he led a wonderful kirtan, and I feel very inspired by him. You know, you get inspired by somebody's kirtan. Sometimes you get inspired by someone else that, oh, they give a wonderful class, I'm very inspired. Oh, somebody else, oh, they're a wonderful devotee, they're so nice and caring, they do so much service, I feel very inspired by his example. So different people are inspired in different ways. Not everyone is the same. Everyone is an individual. So therefore everyone has the right to choose who is their spiritual teacher and who's going to guide them. Somebody may say, oh, why you want to take initiation from him? He's just a kanista. But kanistas can also be pure devotees. Kanistas also do pure devotional service. Don't minimize the position of the kanista. It's an advanced level. They're strictly following regulative principle, chanting the holy name. Yeah? Okay. Yes?
I was just wondering for the Kanishta Adhikari, does that mean that that person has passed the level of how do you call it, Bodhi Darshan, seeing like Krishna or the Guru for like his own sense gratification, or like is it mixed? I'm just wondering.
Who? Huh?
So for the Kanishta Adhikari,
Kanishta Adhikari.
can we say that like he overcame or like he passed the level of like Bodhi Darshan or Guru and Krishna, like seeing the Guru or Krishna for his own like self-gratification?
No, that's not very true. No. Being the Guru for sense gratification.
Almost seeing the Guru for like our own, like let's say I would get initiated,
Uh-huh.
but it's not really sincere. It's more like I want to enjoy the Guru. You know?
Yes. Well, some people do have that mentality when they take initiation. It's not correct. That's why we have the disciple course. Have all of you taken the ISKCON disciple course? No? How did you get in here? You didn't take the ISKCON disciple course yet? No? Marriages? ISKCON disciple course? You took it, right? Yeah? Yeah, you should. Prabhus. Yeah, you all taken disciple course. Yeah? Momo? No. Well, I advise all of you, it's a very good course and it's very, very worthwhile to take that ISKCON disciple course. There's a lot of important information there which you really need to know coming into Krishna consciousness. It helps you to understand the movement better, and it helps you to know more about the movement and the process of initiation and everything else. It's really important. Like I said before, this Bhakti Sastri course, this is usually meant for people who are preparing for the second initiation. Second initiation comes usually after about 5 years of devotional service. So people who are quite familiar with the process of devotion. Anyway, I encourage all of you, you didn't take the disciple course, you need to take it. You have to take it. It's very essential. It's for every devotee. And it goes on constantly. Almost every month they have a ISKCON disciple course. And you can take it a few days, 3 days I think, or maybe 1 week if it's in the evenings. If it's the whole day, there'll be 3 days. But it goes on regularly. Sometimes here in Mayapur, and it's also available online from other places. But very important. Alright, so Kanishta, if somebody's going to take initiation, they're thinking about for their own sake, yeah, that shouldn't be the mood. We would discourage that. The spiritual master himself should recognize that mentality in the person, and he should correct them and tell them this is not the proper mood to come and approach me for initiation, that you're coming in that kind of frame of mind, you have to correct that. I don't want to initiate somebody with that kind of consciousness. Yeah? Alright, so, you know this verse from Bhagavad Gita, you've studied, chapter 7, 4 kinds of people, 4 reasons of people who don't surrender, or who do surrender to Krishna. Right? Chaturveda bhajanti mam jnana sukriti no Arjuna. These people are all sukriti. They all have some sukriti, means pious, they have some piety. But they're not pure devotees. We were discussing, right? You asked me about Draupadi. What about Draupadi when they were ripping off her dress and she's calling to Krishna? So, was she in distress? She's not in that category. Because she's a pure, when she chants the holy name, she's calling to Krishna. Not necessarily that she's calling to Krishna to save her, but she was just calling to Krishna, that she was taking shelter of Krishna in the mood of pure devotion. So Krishna, of course, came and did save her and did reciprocate with her. But here we see distress, one of the 4 reasons people who come in distress, these people are not pure devotees. They have material desires. And if you have material desires, it's not pure devotion, right? So Gajendra is the example of somebody in distress. Gajendra is the elephant. And he's fighting with the crocodile. You know the story? Gajendra and the crocodile? They're fighting. It's a big elephant, big, strong elephant, Gajendra. And he's fighting. He'd just taken a bath in the lake, and he had all of his family with him, his wives and the baby elephants. They were all together. And Gajendra, he was the king of the elephants. He was coming out the lake, and a big crocodile come, got his leg, and held on his leg. Wouldn't let go of Gajendra's leg. Could you imagine? A crocodile gets your leg, gets a grip of your leg. You know, and of course Gajendra's got a big fat leg, you know, the crocodile's got his teeth in the leg. Doesn't want to let go. And they're fighting. Gajendra's trying to get free. And the crocodile's pulling Gajendra back into the lake. Gajendra's trying to get out the lake. The crocodile is at home in the lake. In the water, that's his home. But Gajendra, he's not at home in the lake. He wanted to get out. But the crocodile's pulling him back. So then Gajendra, somehow, he remembered a mantra he'd learned in his previous life, and he chanted the mantra, and the Lord came and saved him and cut the throat of the crocodile and saved him. So this example about Gajendra being in distress, this is one of the examples that he surrendered when he was in distress. But that is not pure devotion, because he was in distress. His mood was just save me from my distress. He was in the elephant body, he wasn't even doing devotion. And somehow he just prayed to the Lord to save him. Oh. So, just being in distress, desiring wealth, the example is Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj wanted a kingdom greater than his grandfather. And his grandfather was... Dhruva Maharaj's grandfather Huh?
Leon.
It's an apparel.
Who?
Otherwise you can't cut and otherwise
Priyavrat? No. Not Uttanapad. No, Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu. Anyway, he wanted a kingdom. I think he even wanted a kingdom greater than Brahma or something, So that anyway, he went to the forest and he did tapasya, and in 6 months he was able to see the Lord. And then then when he saw the Lord, he said, I don't want it. And he said, no, you have to take it now. Because I've come, you have to take it. So he gave him the kingdom. He gave him the pole star, right? Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Maharaj resides on the pole star, Dhruva Loka. And the whole universe moves around the pole star. So Dhruva Maharaj is an example of someone in search of wealth. And then the sages of Naimisharanya were curious. They had many questions. They knew Kali Yuga was coming, and they went to the Naimisharanya forest to prepare for the Kali Yuga, because they knew Kali Yuga is very inauspicious. People are very irreligious, very fallen. So they all went to the Naimisharanya forest to do sacrifice and to ask questions. So Sutta Goswami was answering their questions. So the sages they're the example of curious people. And then the 4 Kumaras are the ones who were searching for knowledge of the Absolute. The 4 Kumaras, they were Brahmagyanis at one point. They were Brahmagyanis, and they went to the spiritual world, and there they met the Supreme Lord, and they got spiritual knowledge. So the 4 Kumaras are examples of people searching for knowledge. So examples of each of these 4 kinds of people. These 4 people are all pious people. They're all good people because they've come to Krishna. But they didn't come with pure devotion. If one was not pious, what would happen? Where would they go? Huh? Somebody's in distress. Where are they going to go? They're not very pious. Where are they going to go? When somebody's in distress, what do they do? What do they do? Where do they go? Jump off the bridge, eh? Huh? Yes, right. Yes, they go to the bar, right? They take shelter of alcohol, right? They're not very pious. They take shelter of alcohol, right? Yeah. Or what else might they do? Huh? Go to the movie? Yeah, maybe. Or they take drugs or something. Yeah. So somebody's in distress, they won't go to, they're not pious, they're not going to come to Krishna, they'll go some other place. Take shelter of the Communist Party. Right? Monty Jai. So, pious people will come to Krishna. People in distress. A lot of people are in distress. Prabhupada said most of our devotees came in distress. They come to Krishna. Now the problem is that after the distress is over, they go away again. When the distress is over, they go away I told you the boy lost his girlfriend got rid of him. Go away, I don't want you anymore, go away. And we met him in the street, we brought him to the temple, and he became a devotee for 2 or 3 days. Then he said, I'm going to find another girlfriend. You know, he went to look for more distress. So that happens. Sometimes people come in search of wealth. And you know, they're selling books, they become devotees, and they go out in Sankirtan, they're distributing books, and then they meet somebody and he says, you come and work for me, I'll give you a job. Oh, I got a job, I had no job, oh, I'm going to work for him. Why I should work for Krishna, I don't get paid. Alright? So people sometimes like that, the devotees selling books for Krishna, and then he met somebody, the man said, you come and work for me, I'll pay you. And they go and work for the man. They give up Krishna consciousness. And somebody else comes, they had a lot of questions, and every week they have so many questions, they're really good, wow, that guy has so many nice questions, and then after a while it doesn't come anymore. Hey, what happened? It's not coming anymore. And then we met him in the street, we said, hey, what's happening? Why are you not coming anymore? He said, oh, no more questions. What to do. But the one who comes in search of knowledge, he's the best. Krishna said of the 4, the one in knowledge is the best. Right? He's the best. So all the people in distress, the one in search of wealth, the curious, they all have to come to that platform. Knowledge, getting knowledge, and then they will not leave Krishna consciousness. And even though they may go away from the Krishna conscious society, they will never forget the knowledge they've learned in Krishna consciousness. Just like sometimes you meet someone who used to be a devotee and you ask them, hey, how are you, Prabhu? I haven't seen you. What's happening? And so, I guess I'm in Maya, you know. They're not devotees anymore, you know, but they still remember that they're in Maya. They remember. They know they're not, and they can preach to others. They can tell people. Some people who leave the movement, they preach to other people to become devotees. So the position of one in knowledge is the best. So we were saying, these 4 kinds of people, these are not Kanishta or Majjham or Uttama. These people are not pure devotees. The Kanishta, the Majjham, Uttama, they can all be pure devotees. But these 4 people are not. They have some other purpose in mind. Right?
Even who is in search of knowledge?
Yes, they're jnanis. They're not bhaktas. Their goal is jnana. Do you make advancement very fast with knowledge? If you're interested to cultivate knowledge, are you going to make progress very quickly? Huh? What's the verse? You know the verse from Bhagavad Gita? Yes, right. After many births and deaths, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders to me. The goal of knowledge, what is the goal of knowledge? To surrender to Krishna. The goal of knowledge is to surrender to Krishna. So it takes many lifetimes. So the jnanis, they make progress very slowly, with great difficulty. But the devotee can make progress very quickly, very easily. Chanting, dancing, eating prasadam. Make progress. Right? Very easy. Understand? Levels of advancement in devotional service. we've just discussed the eligibility or qualification for advancing in Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. The qualification is adhikara, qualification. Now we will discuss the levels of advancement among devotees. Both classifications are divided into three, and these three divisions are named Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama. Right? So we were discussing before about eligibility. That's the beginning, the qualification for advancing. That's for advancing in Vaidhi Sadhana. But now you're going to look at the qualification for people who are devotees, who are already strong, fixed in devotional service. So it's quoted here. The two classifications speak about different things. Srila Prabhupada, with the exception of the following purport, equates the two in his teaching. Usually Prabhupada makes them the same thing, but there's this one case where it's a little different. Here it says, a devotee is considered superlative or superior according to his attachment and love. So this is for devotees. Who is the most advanced devotee in terms of their Krishna consciousness? You have to see their attachment and love for Krishna. Then you can see differences, different devotees, different levels. Bhaktivinoda Thakur stated, if one has developed faith in Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered an eligible candidate for further advancement in Krishna consciousness. Those who have faith are divided into three categories, Uttama, Madhyam and Kanishta. The standard of devotion is also categorized. So, just making the point that there's this distinction among devotees, that some devotees have very high attachment and love for Krishna, and they're Uttama, and some are Madhyam, and some are Kanishta. In the same way, a neophyte believes that only love of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is very good, but he may not know the basis of pure Krishna consciousness, or how one can become a perfect devotee. The devotees are described positive, comparative, superlative, in terms of their love and attachment for Krishna. And so this is a technical point. You don't need to worry too much. This is not really so important for you at this level. The following Bhagavatam slokas describe the attributes and visions of Vaishnavas on each level of devotional attachment. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Here's the description of a Kanishta. Maraji, read. Alright, so that's the description of the Kanishta devotee. He's described as a Prakrita Bhakta. Prakrita means materialistic devotee. Materialistic devotee, he just sees God in the deity, he doesn't respect advanced devotees, and he's not much interested to study scriptures. Right? But he follows the principles, he chants his rounds, it's a devotee. but he's just got this particular mood. And then the Madhyam devotee, yes, read. So Madhyama devotee, four classes. He worships the Lord, he associates with the devotees, makes friends with them, and he will give mercy to the innocent, and he will avoid the atheistic and the blasphemers. And then, Uttama, Mataji at the back, you can read for us. Right, so this is the special vision of the Uttama Adhikari. Says everything in relation to Krishna. And you see everything which is happening, Krishna's doing. So often somebody on the highest level, they may not preach. But somebody like Prabhupada, who's on the highest level, they will come down to the intermediate level to preach. Srila Prabhupada was in one city, he was in Indore one time. And in Indore they have this one place called Gita Bhavan or something. Anyway, Prabhupada was there giving a program. And Prabhupada would often criticize and condemn people and call them rascals, fools, nonsense and like that. And so one man got a bit, he didn't like it. And he said, why you make distinction like this? He said to Prabhupada, he said, why you make distinction? And Prabhupada, the man said, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said we shouldn't make distinction, we should see everybody equally. And Prabhupada said, well, I am not on that level. So then later on the devotees were speaking to the man, and they were explaining to the man that Srila Prabhupada has been preaching the Bhagavad Gita all over the world. So when the man heard how Srila Prabhupada was going around the world preaching the Bhagavad Gita, then he understood this is real equality, because he's distributing the message of Krishna consciousness everywhere. So it was interesting, that initially the man thought Prabhupada is not seeing everybody equally, but Prabhupada was explaining the reality, he was seeing the reality, that some people are rascals, some people are demons, there's different people, you have to recognize them. But at the same time, he's preaching Bhagavad Gita. Qualification for seeing Krishna everywhere is what? What's the qualification for seeing Krishna everywhere?
Seeing everyone and part in his heart.
So what's the qualification to see that? No. You have to have Primanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Yeah? When their eyes are anointed with the love of God. When you have love of God on your eyes, then you can see Krishna everywhere. Right? You have to have the prem. You need the love of God. Right? They see within the heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion, tinged with the salve of love. So, you have to put that ointment, just like ladies put the ointment on the eyes, So we have to put the ointment of prem on the hands to see love of God everywhere, to see Krishna everywhere, in everyone. Eligibility for practicing devotional service. Afam? Yes. We were saying 4 kinds of people who surrendered to Krishna, right? And we said, which one is the best? The one in... Why is he the best? Because he knows he's not the body, right? The others, they're in distress about the body. Somebody wants wealth for the body, like that. But the jnani, he's detached from the body. He knows he's not the body. He's got knowledge. He knows he's not the body. He knows he's the soul. So he's a good candidate. He's free from the bodily concept of life. So he's a good candidate for pure devotional service. Keep reading. So we have some desire to be important, to get position, to get fame or something. So that is not good for devotional service. That is just for satisfying our senses. So that is not encouraged. Keep reading. Bhakti, desire for bhakti means material enjoyment, and mukti, the desire for liberation. That liberation is impersonal liberation, merging with the oneness. So these are compared to material desires, and they're compared to the black art of a witch. So witches give a lot of trouble, right? The witches, ghosts, these people, they just give trouble to people. So these kind of desires, desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, they just give trouble to people. No good. So want to avoid that. So qualification for beginning: the mercy of a devotee who infuses one with attraction for Krishna. Right? Did you get the mercy? Did some devotee infuse you with attraction for Krishna? Yes? Who? Huh? Your parents? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And usually there's some devotee somewhere, you know, when you come to the temple, you meet someone, they inspire you, they impress you, you meet the devotees, you think, you know, really nice, right? How did you come, Mama?
Many people have helped me.
Really? In New York?
This started, this was your kid,
Huh?
you, Maharaj,
No, but before you came here, before you came here, when you were first coming into Krishna, did you meet devotees in America? You didn't? No? Did you know them at all? No? Where did you meet them? Just in Vrindavan. How did you get to Vrindavan?
I was just traveling in India and I happened to get
Wow. Somebody sent you to Vrindavan. Nice. Special journey, huh? Okay. Anyway, the mercy, some devotee somewhere. It's your journey home, right? You have your own journey home. Not overly attached, and then also not overly detached. That's the qualification for beginning. But then for advancing, you have to have different qualification. What do you think for advancing? You're already beginners. Now you have to advance. What are you going to do? What's the qualification? Knowledge of Shastra. That's why you're here in Bhakti Sastri, right? You're learning the Shastra. Make some more advancement. Knowledge of Shastra. What else do you need to advance?
Faith.
Huh? Faith, right. You need faith. Faith in Shastra. Qualification for practicing. Huh? Free from the bodily concept of life. You're going to practice, you have to give up the bodily concept of life. And realizing one should abandon all desires and endeavor only to please Krishna. In other words, give up material desires and the desire for liberation, the bhakti and mukti. So that is for practicing, in our practice of Krishna consciousness. Alright? Group exercise for you. What is Srila Rupa Goswami's principle regarding who can practice devotional service? This is on pages 47 to 48 of your book. And then the other, what additional evidence is there to support this principle? And how is this principle relevant for the development of the Krishna consciousness movement? I don't know if you need a group to do it. You might like to do it on your own. You can work in a group if you like. Shouldn't take you long. Read these 2 pages. What is Rupa Goswami's principle regarding who can practice? Remember practice, what was the principle for practicing? Free from the bodily concept of life and no material desires, right? Going to practice.
could I say and then what is the page? Because here is different from the book.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
question?
sure. Yeah. Yeah, you can work in groups if you like. Share your ideas, your thinking.
I think in our book, different thing is there in the page.
Huh?
In our book, different thing is there in the page.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We have
Pages
story of Damodar Buddha.
page 36, 37. It should be pages 36, 37 according to Zoom.
Oh. So it's 36, 37.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everyone hear that? So Yagna Prabhu, I spoke to the class and we decided we'll have class next Friday. We'll keep the class going till next Friday, but we won't have class on that Saturday or Sunday. Okay? No, we won't have class tomorrow. So, what's the answer for the first? What is Rupa Goswami's principle regarding who can practice devotional service? Yeah? Can you read for me the section? Yes, Prabhu?
Can we compare a person who is freed from the worldly concept of life is an individual candidate for devotion service? And Bhagavad Gita also says that after Brahma realization, one is freed from material anxiety and sees every living entity on an equal platform. He is eligible for devotion service.
Okay, so that's the additional evidence. Yeah? So the first part is should be free from the bodily conception of life. And the second part was quoting the verse from 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that one who is Brahmabhuta sees every living entity equal and doesn't hanker or lament for anything, then he can engage in devotional service. Right? And how is this principle relevant for the development of the Krishna consciousness movement? Maritis? Well, I want to understand how this is relevant to the Krishna consciousness movement.
Everybody wants to lord it over natural nature,
Uh-huh.
but actually this tendency to be greater superior, the straightness can be extended to the unlimited, so that one actually wants to I'm sorry. Maybe I'll say another problem. The perfect spiritual concept of life is complete knowledge of one's constitutional position, in which one knows enough to bow to himself and constantly loving service of the Lord.
So how is this relevant to the development of our Krishna consciousness movement?
One understands his constitutional position and try to be engaging in devotional service of the Lord, and that develops the movement.
Huh?
At least a wise who knows that he is a spirit soul, he can continue in this movement. He won't come and go. That will help us in preaching also. We won't preach to the distressed, we won't preach to the wise. They can continue in this movement, they can develop this movement.
They can develop, they can continue, they can stay in Krishna consciousness. They can see fit. Yes, Prabhu?
If you are not in the body's conceptions, then there is not distinction to who we are preaching, then everyone will be welcome in the movement. And like Mataji is reading, that in bodily conception, that people are always in competition, but Srila Prabhupada said that the best way that we can satisfy him is cooperation.
Cool. Your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate together after I'm gone. Prabhupada said before he left. So cooperation, our doors are open, everyone, anybody who likes, who's interested to awaken Krishna consciousness and to learn more about spiritual life, they're welcome to come to Krishna consciousness. We don't discriminate against people on any kinds of bodily conception. See everyone equally. And so it's very important for our Krishna consciousness movement that our Krishna consciousness movement is for everyone, without discrimination, without any barriers. We don't have any prejudices. It's important. Okay? So then, purified Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered, Pritiviti. Right? Pritiviti achiyot nogarodigram. Pritiviti means all over the world, as many towns and villages are there, my name will be established there. So we are trying to do that. So his name should be established does not mean that they should remain as Yavanas or Malechas. Yavana, Malecha means uncultured, uncivilized. It means very low class, very degraded. They should not remain as Yavana and Malechas, and simply they should know Lord Chaitanya. No, actually the fact is that everyone should be elevated to the position of Vaishnava, purified Vaishnava. Prabhupada is saying it's not enough just to know Lord Chaitanya. We have to change our character, right? We have to give up the malecha, and just like malechas, you know, they will eat everything. And you know, you were probably describing some of the behavior, sometimes very rash, very passionate, and influenced by the mode of ignorance and passion. So, malecha, yavana means like, you know, meat eaters and flesh hunters. So, very uncultured, not in the Vedic culture, uncivilized, like tribal people, people from the forest or from the jungle. So this is malecha, yavana. So Prabhupada said we shouldn't remain like that. If you don't bathe regularly, if you don't wash your clothes regularly, that is like malecha, yavana. So have to be civilized. So we should come to that position, Vaishnava. We should become purified Vaishnava. So let's go over what we covered today. Eligibility for beginning, advancing and practicing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. The eligibility for beginning, what was the qualification to begin Sadhana Bhakti? Not too much attached, not too much detached, and mercy of a devotee, right? That's especially important. The mercy of a devotee. And what about the eligibility for advancing? What do we have to do to advance? Faith and knowledge of Shastra, right? And practicing free from the bodily conception and free from material desire. Right? And then the independent nature of pure devotional service. It's independent, that there's no prior qualification. Just like you want to come and study in a university, there's some prior qualification, right? They want to know, what certificates have you got? What exams have you taken? What were your marks? There's qualifications to go into a university to study. But for pure devotional service, there's no qualification. It's independent of these things. You don't have to be renounced. You don't have to be very austere. You don't have to be very educated. You just have to be willing to practice. You have to be attracted to Krishna. You have faith in the process, and you're willing to practice. So devotional service is independent of all of these things. You don't have to be born in a Brahmana family You don't have to be a Bengali. Of course, the Bengali people are very fortunate because it's the land of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they have a special taste for the holy name. But it's for everyone. Africans, Americans, South Americans, everywhere. ISKCON's practice of claiming members from all sections of the Western countries in relation to principles established by Srila Rupa Goswami, other Shastric references and examples from the previous acharyas. So, Lord Chaitanya wanted the holy name would be spread all over the world. So ISKCON society does that. Prabhupada went to the West and he began there. Then he came back to India and he sent devotees to other countries. He wanted everywhere. Right? You want to go to the moon? Who wants to go to the moon to preach? Right? Any volunteers? Want to go? We need people to go. There's many countries still to be opened up to Krishna consciousness. Right? Are you ready to go? Even in Bengal there's places to go. There's preaching to be done. Everywhere. So, Pritiviti Achiyat Nogor Odigram. Every town and village, the chanting of the holy name should be heard. So this was the prediction of Lord Chaitanya, and all the acharyas, they wanted to see this fulfilled. That people can become devotees is stated in the scriptures. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it says people from all different parts of the world. It mentions different races. In the second canto there's a verse. Kirita hunandra palinda pokasha abira shumba yavana kasha daya yanyecha papa yada pashraya shraya shudyanti tasmai prabha vishnave nama. It's a famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it mentions all the different races. Kirita, Prabhupada said Africans. The Africans there, Kirita. They can become devotees. Kirita, Huns. The Huns, that's European, like Germans. They're called Huns. Kirita, Hunandra, Andhra, Pulinda, Pokasha, Yavana. Yavana, also, they're the Yavanas, that's like Tibet, somewhere. And then Kasha, China. They're all mentioned. We can all become devotees. Although we're all from different races, different parts of the world, and we're addicted to different habits, but we can all become devotees by the mercy of the devotee. By the mercy of the pure devotees, we can all come to Krishna consciousness. So that's stated in the scriptures. And there are many other references also. And the acharyas, they were always hoping, they wanted to see that. Final quote. The missing point is Krishna. And the nectar of devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy our blissful life. That loving propensity remains imperfectly fulfilled until we know who is the Supreme Beloved. Our love can be fully satisfied only when it is reposed in Krishna. Our propensity to love is unlimited. It expands like light. The light is everywhere. So our love, our ability to love is also unlimited. And if we restrict our love, if we just give our love to only this person, only this society, only this country, that is very limited. It is not the way our love is meant to be given. Our love is for everyone, everything. Love is expanding everywhere. It's to be given to everyone. So when we give our love to Krishna, that is the perfect use of our love, because Krishna is in the heart of everyone. So when we love Krishna, then that is giving our love to everyone. Right? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Get your essays written. Look over the notes. Are you able to keep up okay with these questions? You don't have any difficulty to answer these questions? The closed book questions? Now we're going on to chapter 2. You should be able to answer all these questions. Have you been looking at these questions? Yeah? No? Yeah? You can answer? Yeah? Let me see, what are the questions? List the 12 rasas, Sanskrit or English. To memorize these things. Give the English meaning of the term pavriti and nivriti. You know that, Afang? Pavriti, nivriti. What's the meaning? That's easy for the Indian people. Huh? This is the questions on the introduction. Question number 7. Positive and negative. Yeah, very good. Very good. Give the English meaning of the word anushilana. Yes? Anushilana means constant engagement. What does the term dhyana karma dhyadi refer to? Yes? Dhyana karmadi? No. What does it refer to?
Coverings.
Huh?
Coverings.
I would just give the meaning of it. I would just give the meaning of it. I don't know. What does the term jnana karma refer to? Yeah, I thought that's what I would think. And other adi and other things. Does the text specifically say the meaning of this jnana karmadi is something? Is it mentioned in the text? Is it mentioned there that it's covering? Did you check that, Appa? Jnana karmadi, number 8, number 9. Huh? Just mentions fruitive work. Well, it's not just fruitive work.
Srila Rupa Goswami has also mentioned in this definition of bhakti the word jnana karmadi. This karmadi, in bracket, fruitive work, consists of activities which are unable to help one attain to pure devotional service.
Okay. So, speculative knowledge and fruitive activities and other things like, we mentioned like astrology, mystic yoga, these things. Because adi means other things. Yeah.
This verse from Bhagavatam that quotes the many civilizations, which is the number from Bhagavatam?
What? The one? Oh, that's in the second canto. I don't know the exact chapter or verse. You have to look it up. But it begins Kirita Hunandra. Yeah, you can find it. It's the prayers by Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is offering prayers. He was asked to describe the process of creation. Before describing the process of creation, he first of all offered prayers. So that was one of the prayers. See this question, it says, where did Srila Rupa Goswami first meet Lord Chaitanya? I don't like that question, it's not very good. Because it says one thing in the book and it's not true. What is the names of Srila Rupa Goswami? Huh? What is the example Srila Rupa Goswami set for devotees? And for humanity in general. What was the example he set? Divide the money, right? Give half to the brahmanas and devotees. What is Lord Chaitanya's universal principle? Lord Chaitanya's universal principle is? Huh? Distribute the holy name to every tongue. Oh. Okay. Yeah, could be. Chapter 1, 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. We did that. You should know that. Number 11, lifted in Sanskrit or English, 4 effects that are due to sinful activities. You should be able to do that. Number 12, 4 examples of, list 4 examples Prabhupada gives of mature sinful reactions. What is that? Have you got that? Hafan? Huh? Yeah? 4 examples Prabhupada gives of mature sinful reactions. What will it be? Yeah, like that. Yes. Yeah, ugly, poor, no education, chronic disease, these things. Why does Krishna rarely agree to offer a soul devotional service? You should know that. List the 3 sources of happiness. 3 sources of happiness. Did you get that? Yeah. And what is the meaning of the term Madan Mohan Mohini? You should get that, not difficult. Right? The attractor of who? The attractor of Madan Mohan Mohini. The attractor of Cupid. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki. So see you all on Monday. Have a good weekend. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
Oh, so I wasn't too sure. Okay, you just mentioned what's happening, Viraj's birthday. I wasn't too sure. Yeah, we made a cake for Viraj and everything. So, yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Giriraj. Happy birthday to you. Never take birth again. Never take birth again. Never take birth again. It's material.
On your birthday, please bless us all. That would be good. So we made a cake for you. And yeah, we can just go in the kitchen. Yeah, so we can all go in the kitchen, I guess, and I can serve over there. If yeah, for whoever wants to eat cake. Yeah, so now 18 years old. Oh no. Let's try to guess. I would say 26. No. 27. I would say 27. Very close.
28.
28. Any guess? Raman Krishna, you cannot speak. You always know.
Yes, right.
Oh, 28.
Yeah?
You're good, Mo.
生日快乐 Chinese. I said 生